Hello, and welcome to Step Outside. I'm your host, Pete Curé, landscape architect, and on today's show, we're going to give you a first-hand look on how to give an outdoor seating area a little style and permanence. We'll also revisit a previous project, a backyard water feature, to show you how to put some life in it with some plants and fish. I can't wait to get started. Stay tuned. I'll see you in the backyard. Almost any level area of your yard can be made into a makeshift seating area. All you need are a couple of chairs, a table for drinks, a good book, and you're all set. But if you found the perfect spot, an area where you can see a beautiful sunset, or the mountain ranges, or just a peaceful area to get away from it all, you might be ready to give your seating area some more permanence. The owners of this new home have found just the spot to build what we like to call a getaway seating area. Let's take a look at the plans. We'll work with this existing grade change and we'll locate some steps right here so we can get down to this lower area. We'll add a little patio area, and using some boulders to give us a natural effect on either side, we'll wedge a seat wall right here in between them. Also, put a tree back here for a little bit of shade and some plants around it for softness and color, and I think we'll have a neat space here. And now let's see where this is all going to go. I'm standing in this part of the backyard on a downhill slope located away from the house. When the homeowners bought this lot, this slope and this wall were already here. So we still had to allow for this water that comes down to drain out through the wall into the wash beyond. This actually posed a dilemma for them because they didn't see how they could get any use out of this part of their yard. What I decided is if we take even more dirt down, we can create an elevation change and have additional patio space down here. We'll add a little wall tucked in between a couple of boulders, some paving, and this extra seating area will be a welcome addition to the small patio that they have on the house itself. We'll also have a little walkway that goes out beyond a gate here so they can walk down into the wash area beyond. Well, we've got the space and we've got the plans, so let's get started. As we discussed in a previous show, layout is the most important first step to getting the project started. We mark out the corners of this patio and this little seating area that we're doing. These two lines represent the thickness of the wall. So here's the wall right in here. These round shapes are where our boulders are going. This outline here is the outer edge of our patio space here. And these lines are where our steps are going to occur, going all the way up from the lower level to the upper terrace in between these boulders. Since this is a multi-level project, one that includes steps leading down to a private patio and an upper-level desert garden, we need to move a lot of dirt. Sometimes adding a new feature to your yard may require additional dirt, but before you spend any money, look to see what you already have. If you're doing multiple projects, it's quite possible you might be able to take dirt from one part of the yard and use it in another. Yesterday, after we laid out this lower patio area, we brought in this bobcat because we had a whole lot of dirt we had to move out of the way. Took us pretty much all day. But now we're ready to start to lay out the seat wall and this patio area. This boulder here is going to set right in this hole so that the seat wall can die right into it. We're ready to get started. Fire her up. To make the seating area work, we needed two large boulders at each end of the seat wall and then a couple of accompanying rocks to finish out the rock cluster. We could have built this seat wall out of wood, but we wanted more durability than that. This masonry and stucco wall will be here for a long time. We're sitting down here in this sunken space where our new little patio area is going to be. We wanted a permanent seat in here, so we've decided to build it out of masonry as opposed to buy a piece of furniture. But because we're using masonry, that requires a footing. And we have with us today Dave Carob of Carob Construction, who's going to be the mason on this job. Dave, explain a little bit about what you're doing here.
Okay, well at this point we've gone ahead and dug the footing. A good rule of thumb for a footing is twice the width of the block wall. You need to be sure that the footing is down below any adjacent pad. In this instance the pad is meeting up to the wall, and you wouldn't want a conflict with the footing being up above the finished surface area. So we've gone ahead and we're down at like a minimum of 6 inches below our top surface. We've put some grade stakes in. These grade stakes will actually be the top of finished concrete. So when you're pouring this full, all you need to do is bring it up to the top of these stakes, and we're going to go ahead and install the last one in. Okay, we're using a level just to transfer from the last one we put in, because all we want to do is be sure that we're staying level with what's in already. Okay, at that point we're level. And we need to add a J-bar in, which will be the vertical piece of rebar that goes into the new block wall. And that we just use a piece of tie wire and a pair of pliers and just give it a twist. What we want is to be sure that this structural member is not down at the bottom of the ditch. It needs to be up mid-span in the concrete. This will be put upright when we pour the concrete, and it'll go into the new block wall.
That's good, Dave. What's our next step then? We ready to pour concrete?
Yep, we're ready to pour. We won't get a full pour within wheelbarrows amounts because most homeowners are going to be doing it this way. You'll just keep bringing it in until we get to the height of these stakes and pour on out the length of the footing.
Well, let's go ahead and get started. All right, you're lined up. That looks about right there. Go ahead and pour the rest of that in. Good job. Well, I guess we need to mix some more mud now and keep going. Welcome back to the show. Well, we just about have all our boulders set now, including the ones that form the edge of the steps that led us from the patio down to the getaway seating area below. Let's go see how Dave the Mason is doing on the seat wall itself. Hey Dave, looks like you're just about ready to finish this wall up here. How do you make these square blocks fit into these round rocks?
Well, an instance of a wall that doesn't need the joints to line up, because we're going to be covering all this up with stucco, we bring in the block as close as possible with the normal edge that comes on the block. At that point, we can take scrap, which there's always plenty of on the job, and just use it for fill-in. This wall's all been grouted solid because of the fact it is retaining the dirt from the other side. If you're doing a wall that isn't holding dirt, it's not necessary to grout it. Just be sure when you're done doing your masonry, if you don't think you're confident with the trowel, you can go ahead and put some tape on the rock to keep from getting the debris on it, or when you're all done, you can take a sponge and just wipe it off. Okay, you have the rough shape in place, and at this point, once you've completed your wall, you'd be going to a stucco step at this point. We've gone ahead, we're using this as our mortar, but this is a stucco mix. What I mean by that is it's a little bit richer. If you were mixing mortar, put a little lime in, especially for somebody not used to doing this, it sticks a little better. What we do is we'd be applying a good flat coat on there. Always work from your existing area. Try to make one area flat, and then just keep adding to that area that you've already created. We don't have a lot of drying time on this cap here, but what you would want to do to now start creating that effect is you can roll your trowel over the top, and it starts to give you that shape that you're looking for, that round, softer look. Okay, and you would just continue that all the way down your wall till you're finished.
But it looks like this house has a sand finish to it. How do you achieve that effect?
Well, in an instance of this, on a home, we're trying to match the original texture that's on the house. The differences in the sand textures will depend on the grit of sand that you mix your stucco with. The finer the texture you want, the finer grit sand that you want. You can buy different grits at your masonry supply place, so that when you're doing stucco, you don't want to use standard sand that you pick up in your pickup, because it has lots of little rocks in it, and frustrate yourself when you try to do your stuccoing, because you'll come up with these little rocks and you put drag marks in your stucco. Usually you would wait a little bit more time than this, because you want to get it almost as hard as you possibly can and still work it, because that way there, if you put pressure on it, you're not going to move the material. But what you're trying to do is wash out the cement from the little stones that are mixed into it, or the little sand. And it takes an easy touch. Like I say, the longer it dries, the more you can scrub on it and not be concerned that you're going to affect anything. As you can see, it's a little hard to see in this light, but all the sand is starting to come to the surface, and that will give you the texture that you're looking for.
Well, that looks like that's going to match the house pretty good, Dave. Good job.
Thanks.
We're down here in our little getaway seating area, finishing up the forming for the concrete. As you can see, the steps are already formed and ready to put the lights in. And this piece here acts as the finish edge for our patio area down below. We'll later then pour this area with concrete, cover it over with ancient stone. We're now ready to put lights in the steps so we can find our way down here at night. What we do is we take this standard size J-box and we literally attach it right to the face of the form itself. Then we loop a continuous wire, low volt wire, through the boxes, and we tie them to the face of the form. After we've attached all the lights to the face of the form, we go ahead and pour in the concrete, remove the forms, the boxes are still in place, and then we can put on the ancient stone and the finished portion of the light itself. We've just about completed the backfilling of the seat wall area here. But one important step that we did before we started the backfill is we waterproofed the back of this wall with this white material you see here. It's a product called Q-Bond. It's not tar, but it's a stucco-like material. It's a lot easier to apply to the wall. The wall itself was built strong enough, partially retaining, to be able to retain the soil that's going to be filled against it. Okay, Primo, bring it in. Well, we've got our mound in place and our grade's pretty well set. But this is a pretty rocky site, and it seems like every time we dig a hole, we find more rocks. So what we've done is we've created a little drainage swale right over here. We're using the natural rock from on site rather than paying to haul them off. This will help prevent erosion, catch the rainwater as it comes off the roof of the house here, and direct it out through the drainage hole in the fence there. Now I think we're ready to bring our plants and put them into place.
Oh, hey.
Here we are, Instant Garden. We brought all these plants into our little seat wall garden area here, and I'll explain a little bit about what we got going on. We've got some native deer grass here, which will provide a nice soft green effect down in this area of the garden. Behind me, we've brought in, this is only a 15-gallon mesquite, but this tree will eventually grow to 30 feet tall with 30-foot spread, which will provide some nice shade for the seating area below us. Over here, a couple of hesperaloes to give us a little spiky accent. They send up a salmon-colored bloom in the springtime that the hummingbirds like. And we've brought in some verbena, which will give us some both pink and purple color and give us a softening effect around the plants themselves. Beyond there, we've got some really great spiky accents with the ocotillos, which won't block view, but create some visual interest. And over by the rocks here, some native penstemon, which will provide interesting flower color in the spring and also give an attractant to the hummingbirds. Even though we're using drought-tolerant plants and even some native species, we still have to provide irrigation to them. What we're putting in is a drip irrigation system using this 580 plastic tubing, which is really easy to cut and fit together. Okay, Lucio, show us how it's done. This is a simple 580T. All you have to do is cut the line with a hacksaw, a knife, or scissors. Anything will do the job. Press the three parts together, this compress and fitting, and you're on your way. Okay? that's the actual emitter head right there. And that's done. Irrigation for the plants. When we return, we'll be putting the finishing touches on our Getaway seating area. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Pete Curé, and while we were away, we had the concrete poured for our patio and our steps here, and we've just about finished laying our ancient stone. We've got Dave the mason here, and he's the one who's putting the stone down for us. Dave, why don't you explain a little bit about how this is done?
Okay, we're just about complete with this slab. As you can see, we have a grid that's left over from the whole area. It's good to go ahead and grid the slab ahead of time because then you can tell whether or not it's going to fit, or you can get a little visual as to what it's going to look like. Another important thing is to make sure that the slab is clean prior to putting the adhesive on, because the adhesive won't stick to this. It's similar like to flour, and when you're working with dough, you know, it keeps it from sticking to your hand. The dust would prevent this from sticking also. You want to get a liberal amount on the slab, trying to leave your grid exposed so that you can still look through it to locate your tile. On a tile that's gauged, or it's all the same thickness, you can use a notch trowel, and that will measure out the amount of thickness of adhesive you're putting on. But in the instance of this product, it varies in thickness, and so we just have to go ahead and put a little extra on and apply some pressure until it settles into the height that you want.
I'm here with Donna Williams of Ancient Stone Company. They've provided the pavers here that we've used on our patios on this job. Donna, why don't you tell us a little bit about your products?
Thank you, Pete. As you can see from these several pieces here, we have a lot of different standard sizing for our pavers as well as thicknesses. And we have the capability of doing a lot of custom sizing for people who have special needs that aren't covered by our standard pavers. We also have a coping, which comes in a lot of different sizes, which has a rounded or bullnose edge to it, which is used anywhere you have steps or people sitting on benches or anything where they might not want a straight edge that might be rough for them.
And you can make these in almost any color. I know in this project we gave you a sample of the tile that the homeowners had inside the house, and you were able to match up pretty close with this paver that you made for us.
That's true. One of the beauties of ancient stone is that you have so many colors that you can pick from. You're not categorized into a small selection. We can do virtually anything, and we also have about 20 standard colors that are available for people to choose from.
Well, we really appreciate you guys working with us on this project. Your pavers are really making a difference on our patios here.
Thank you, Pete. We always enjoy working with you.
It looks like our Getaway seating area still needs a few more finishing touches before we're ready to show it to the homeowners. While we have some time, let's go revisit a water feature project that we recently completed on this lot. I think I see some activity going on over there. Sylvia, looks like you got a great start on a lily pond here.
Hi, Peter.
This is Sylvia and Larry DeVim from the Lily Pond Water Garden Center, and they're providing the plants and fish for our water feature here today. Sylvia, why don't you explain a little bit about what you've got going on here?
Well, we've included tropical water lilies, hardy water lilies, a few upright bog plants for interest, and a nice collection of red and white serracicomets.
These plants and these fish all kind of tend to create a natural system in the water feature, don't they?
Yes, they do. It's a reciprocal system where fish and plants take care of one another. The lilies will shade the surface and help keep the environment healthier and cooler for the fish. The fish will provide some nutrients. They'll eat bugs that could otherwise chew on the lilies. So everything is a nice harmony, and it's relatively simple to care for as well.
Well, we've got a sand gravel biofilter on this pond, but with all the plants and fish, does that make the maintenance a little bit more difficult for the homeowner?
The filter will help to make everything simpler, but as far as maintenance, you want to fertilize at least on a monthly basis, pinch off dead leaves and spent flowers. Otherwise, once a year, you will need to possibly replant the lilies, but the maintenance on a lily pond is wonderfully simple.
Well, what you've created here is really fantastic. I'm sure our homeowners are going to enjoy it. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks, Peter.
I think I see our homeowners taking a stroll in their garden. Looks like they're checking out our new seating area. Let's go see what they think. Well, hello, you two.
Well, hi, Pete.
Hi, Pete. How you doing?
This is Russ and Janelle Becker, our homeowners. There's been a lot of construction that's gone on, but it's finally all done. What do you think?
Well, we're glad that the construction's over, but I tell you, it was really worth it. This is just a wonderful area. It's so peaceful, the pond over there. We can just see using this area for all kinds of things. Having our morning coffee, reading the paper, a party out here, just about anything you can imagine.
What about you, Janelle?
It's gorgeous. I'm especially enjoying the idea that I can come out here in the mornings and, just like he said, enjoy my coffee and take a few minutes of relaxation before I go to work.
Well, there's been a lot of changes that have occurred in your yard, but I think we'll let Mother Nature take care of the rest of them. It's been great working with you, too. Thanks a lot.
Well,
Same
Pete,
here,
it's
Pete,
been
thanks.
great working with you, too. It's been a fun project.
Before we go, let's take a quick look back at exactly what it took to construct this getaway seating area. First, we blue staked the site, and we drew out the plan on paper. We laid it out and marked it for excavation. We did a lot of earth moving. Then we placed the boulders. We dug and poured the footings for the seat wall, and then we built it. Then we laid out the forms for the steps and the patio, installed the lights in the steps, and we stuccoed and waterproofed the seat wall. Then we poured our concrete patio and the steps. We installed our plants and irrigation, and laid down the ancient stone pavers. This getaway seating area definitely took some time and effort to construct, but in turn, it'll give our homeowners and their guests years of enjoyment and relaxation. Each week, we show you some of the endless possibilities that await you just outside your door. So come on, step outside and enjoy the view. I'm Peter Curé. Thanks for tuning in.